There's something strange about unpacking. When you already know you'll be packing up again soon. You put things into drawers, you hang things up, and you try to make the space feel lived. And yet part of you is already thinking about the next time you'll leave. Even when you're technically home, it doesn't fully feel like arriving. This past year has felt a lot like that for me. It started after we lost Bobo, our final bunny, late last April. Not long before that, my husband had lost his job, and everything began to shift around those two things. At first it was quiet. Then it became more obvious. We decided to go to Italy for a month. It wasn't a normal holiday in the usual sense. It felt more like something we just needed, a way to step out of everything that had just happened. I hadn't travelled properly since losing my first bunny, Forrest, in September of 22. And even though it was an extremely emotional and heavy time for me, there was also something in me that just needed a different space. And then we came back, and after about another month later, my husband got a job offer in Frankfurt. So everything moved again. There was packing, travelling back and forth trying to understand our new city, finding an apartment, organising the move, and doing all of that before we'd even really settled after being away. Since moving to Frankfurt, settling hasn't quite happened in the way I expected. There are still boxes, still things without a proper place. We downsized, which sounds simple until you're trying to make things fit into spaces that don't quite hold them anymore. The cellar is so full you can barely open the door. And there's still that feeling of everything being slightly in between. And then the travel kept going. My husband travels for work sometimes, just a few days here or a week there, and after the period where he was at home all the time, we both needed that bit of space. So I started travelling more too. I've always visited my parents in Northern Ireland a few times a year, usually for long weekends. Without the bunnies to come home to now, and with my parents in their mid-80s, those visits have become longer. 2.5 weeks, sometimes 3. Then there's Salzburg. I never changed my hairdresser, which sounds like a small thing. However, it gave me a reason to go back, see friends, and return to somewhere familiar, my previous home. The journey is about 8.5 hours by train, when everything runs smoothly. And somewhere in the middle of all this, we've planned a 3-week holiday to France. When I step back and look at it, it's a lot of movement in a short space of time. Italy, Frankfurt, Northern Ireland, Salzburg, France. Moving countries in the middle of it all, it didn't quite feel like a decision to live between places. It just became how things were, how they became. And there's a particular tiredness that comes with that. Not the kind that goes away after a good sleep. It's more in the constant adjusting, arriving somewhere and already thinking about when you're leaving again, trying to settle where part of your mind is preparing for the next place. You're there physically, yet mentally already somewhere else. And after a while, that creates a lack of grounding. Nothing huge, just this subtle sense that everything is temporary, that you're always in between. This isn't only about travel. It can happen in any season where life keeps shifting and you don't get enough time to land before something else changes. You keep adapting. You keep moving with it. Somewhere underneath, however, there's that low-level tiredness of never quite being able to switch off. Something like the grounding for overwhelm meditation or breathing with the colour blue can be a way of returning to yourself inside that moment. Not to stop it, just to have somewhere steady to come back to. Because you might recognise that feeling too. Being where you are, while part of you is already preparing to leave.